Kelly, thanks for a lot for joining us this afternoon. I appreciate your taking the time. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what Black Box is doing during the coronavirus pandemic.
Sure. Well, hi, Ron, and thank you so much for having me. Yeah, the coronavirus. So I'm Kelly Valade, and I'm with Black Box Intelligence. I'm the president and CEO, and we specialize in the beloved restaurant industry. It is the only industry we work in, so we are right alongside there, but alongside all those operators and restaurateurs trying to figure out what to do with this pandemic. Our company, in particular, tracks sales, traffic, workforce, and guest statistics and information and benchmarks, and we provide insights based on what we see. We have over 300 plus companies that on any given day are providing data to us in the way of sales and traffic or workforce or guests. So we are able to provide really a 360 view, if you will, on what is happening in the industry and what is happening with our restaurant companies that are so near and dear to us during this pandemic. And frankly, since the very beginning, we were one of the first to start tracking things almost daily, and upping the game on the products and the things that we could offer to restaurants to help them understand what's happening. We started when the first state was impacted in Washington. We were the ones that came out with showing when it bottomed out in late April, and we've slowly started to see a recovery. Recovery is a delicate word. So our focus now is, and why I'm so thrilled about this is we are now showing everyone, every member, every operator that wants to engage with us, we're showing them what's happening state by state as states start to open back up. The big questions are, will the guests trust you enough to come back? Will your employees trust you enough to come back? And what is the guest really saying about all of this? And will the restaurant industry ever be the same again is the question we get all the time. So that's what we're focused on. And this is an amazing opportunity just to help the restaurants get better and help this amazing industry get back on its feet.
Kelly will be presenting at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time on Wednesday, June 3rd at Restaurants Rise, which is available free online. Uh, Kelly, tell us a little bit about where you see sales workforce going in the
Yeah.
and as the pandemic starts to ease.
As it starts to ease, the big question, and as we have seen states start to open up at 25% capacity, we're almost in I think it is every state as of today that is opening back up in some capacity. And we have been tracking, this phenomenon over the restaurant industry, and operators did an amazing job pivoting when they needed to go and to off premise, whether they had it as part of their strategies or not. Pivoted quickly. This is a scrappy, innovative industry where operators figured out how to give away toilet paper and give away groceries, sell groceries rather, and meal kits. And so this phenomenon of, will people truly trust and be able to go back into restaurants or want to go back and dine in restaurants? And I can tell you, and I'll share more about it, but we're already seeing that, yes, they will. They absolutely are going back into restaurants. They may have forever cemented their belief in off-premise for full-service restaurants or casual dining restaurants, or, again, any restaurant in any segment. They may have cemented the belief that this is a good option for me too, but we do expect to see the trade-off happen a little bit off-premise, and those delivery mechanisms will still probably stay pretty high for a while as things ease back in. But guests, they have been dining out, and they have been talking about their experiences dining out, and they've been giving credit to restaurants that are doing it right.
The one thing I like about Black Box is your data is so fresh, so immediate. It's almost real time, especially for those who are subscribers, but also for those of us in the media. On June 3rd, what kind of data do you think you'll have that operators can benefit from?
Sure. I will have data from our financial intelligence product that'll be a couple days old at that point. So it'll be very, very recent. And again, we launched almost a daily flash. We call it our restaurant recovery flash. We're doing that 3 times a week to any restaurant company that wants to engage and submit their data. And it's top line data. It's what are comp sales today? Show us the regions, if you will, if you want. But then we're able to kind of use both our financial intelligence product with subscribers sending their data and this 3 times a week now restaurant recovery report. I'll be able to tell you almost real time, as you said, real data from companies. There's a lot of amazing information out there right now about what consumers are thinking. We actually have the data to tell you what they're doing. So that's what's really exciting, and I can't wait to share it.
Well, Kelly, you and I are both in Texas, which on Friday goes from casual dining restaurants or any sit down restaurants from 25% capacity to 50% capacity. Will you have data to show how that increase in capacity may impact sales and consumer sentiment?
Absolutely. When Texas opened, Texas and Georgia were really the first two states, I think, followed by Tennessee. Again, it's spread. But when that happened, we went laser like in our focus on Texas and Georgia to be able to show what happened. And in one of the first few weeks, first week rather, we saw the nationwide average still be significantly down in the high 50s, 60% almost for the industry as a whole. And we saw Texas come in at close to half of that in that first week. So even at 25%, even with not every restaurant company deciding to open back up at 25%, it's not a sustainable proposition, if you as you know. But even with a fair amount opening up, we started to see the trends change a little bit. So it's not going to be fixed overnight, but yeah, I'll be able to show what's happening at 50%. And for those states that have been even more aggressive, I'll be able to show that.
That'll
that
be really interesting data. I look forward to that. I also have to quote you from when we talked earlier today. You said your attitude is the future is how the successful future is how you get food into people's hands. Will you
Mhm.
have information on how people are trading off from off premise to dine in?
It's a great question, Ron. And that is one of the number one questions we're getting from our customers today is, are people, so now that they trust, and again, the casual dining sector and full service sectors in particular have gained trust by how creative and how well they have executed on what the guests expected during this time. Limited service did a fantastic job as well. But there's now a bit of trust that's been created. And the big question is, will people still want to want to take out versus go in and be able to sit across the table and break bread. And I absolutely will. We've seen the change that's been subtle so far, even at 25%, and the shift down a little bit, but from off premise. But yeah, the main question is the demand going to be there? Are people really going to trust enough to come back in and have a meal? I firmly believe, and one of the things I'll speak to and end with in the talk on June 3rd, I firmly believe connection is at the heart of leadership. Connection is at the heart of humanity. I believe people will want to connect around a table and break bread. I believe they're going to need to trust and see good faith measures being taken to do that. So I think off-premise will continue to be a really viable strategy for many companies. It is about getting food into people's hands, but I also think dine-in will slowly start to recover as well, and I'll be able to share that.
And Black Box is also tracking consumer sentiment, especially you're getting some anecdotal evidence. How is that connection being renewed with the customer?
Yeah, it's a great question and something as soon as we start opening up Texas, I've been driving my team crazy. What is the guest saying? What's the focus of the comments? And we said this in our State of the Industry webinar last time. We talked about the comments started and the conversation on social media became at the very beginning of the pandemic. It was all about making sure that if they walked in, they didn't see sick employees, they didn't see people that didn't look well, they saw procedures in place and sanitizer out. It then went from that to, are you taking care of your employees? Eventually, it just became about delivery, and the commentary became in social media about my experience was pretty good with this delivery option. I think the same thing's going to happen. I think the guest, and what we can see already, the guest is hyper focused, as you would expect. They want to see masks. They want to see gloves. They want to see the promise that the restaurant is willing to make to them to keep them safe. And the employees want the same thing. So both from our guest intelligence platform and our workforce intelligence platform, I'll be able to bring those two things together to say, are you really going to be able to meet the guests and employee expectations in this going forward?
Well, Kelly, I am so looking forward to sitting in on this seminar with you. Again, it's going to be at restaurantsrise.com on June 3rd at 1 p.m. Central Time. Kelly with Black Box Intelligence, thank you so very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Ron. We'll see you soon.